Well, Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Well, what do you do when you share such a love?
Welcome to
Well,
the
you start a club,
117th
you
episode
start a
of the
club, an
ABC
adult
Pod,
book
the
club,
Adult
an
Book Club
adult
with
book
Taja and Russell. I am
club,
Russell.
and
She
a
is Taja.
Hey there.
Hey,
podcast.
and welcome back, everybody, to the podcast where we drink and we read things. And on this episode, we read An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. But before we get to that, it has been 2 weeks, Taja. What has been going on in your life?
I got a new tattoo. I've got an addiction. I basically have a sleeve now on my left arm. I went from like 0 to 60 and now it's almost all covered. I still have one little sliver of area where I'm gonna put the keep reading words. She even blocked it off when she was drawing on me so that she would leave enough space for that. So who knows? That'll probably happen sometime soon.
Tomorrow.
Um,
We'll just do it tomorrow, whatever.
yeah, tomorrow, no big deal. Um, there was some adulting that happened. Our town is pretty great. They have this like free household hazardous waste day where I think they do it like twice a year, spring and fall, where you can just go to the town garage and bring random shit. There's like a couple of things that you can't bring. I don't remember what they are because we didn't have any, but we brought some paints that have been sitting in our garage from before we bought this house. Like it
Mhm.
belonged to the people before. So 10 plus years old paint, some tires, some appliances that were broken. It was so satisfying and I love not having to like pay to do that. I mean, I guess my taxes are paying, but whatever.
Nice.
Um, and then more adulting happened because Barry's root canal, remember the tooth that he an airhead like took his crown off?
Yeah.
There's some infection happening in that root canal
Ugh.
situation. So he was like in such pain. We had to like call our dentist. She's the best. Um, and it was like Easter Sunday, so nothing's open, and he had to go to urgent care, and then he had to go to the ER to like get more numbing situation.
Jesus.
Um, so that was rough, and then he couldn't get in to see her until obviously after the holiday. Saw her, she can't do anything, sent him to an endodontist who's like a specialist, was able to get in to see him, but he couldn't do anything until like this week.
Oh my God.
Goes to that appointment and he's like, this is more like you need to go see an oral surgeon. So he spent like hundreds of dollars on imaging and all this stuff, different appointments, and he's still, I mean, he's not in as much pain because he's been on antibiotics, but um ridiculous. Also, so frustrating that in our great country, um, why are teeth not part of your body when health insurance is involved? Like, we don't have dental insurance,
Oh,
which is shitty right now, or feels shitty right now.
yeah.
Um, but also insurance is a scam. Anyway,
It's
soapbox
true.
done. It's dumb. Um, and then tomorrow we go to New Jersey to have Christmas with Barry's family. Because we haven't done that yet.
Is that this Christmas or the upcoming Christmas? We're
You
just getting
know,
done with
that's a
it.
great. We just like we'll just do it all together.
You guys were there for Christmas too, or right after, which is,
We were in we tried to
yeah,
see, so like his parents weren't
yeah.
up. And we tried to see his little brother, but it didn't work out timing wise. Or did we go? Now I don't remember. Because if we did go, it was for so short we didn't really spend much time. I think
Fair.
we did go. I don't remember. Anyway, we're going to actually celebrate Christmas. And
That's fun.
best part about it, because the little nieces and nephews, well, niece and nephews, have never been to medieval times. So we're going to dinner at medieval times. And so it'll be a bunch of children, myself included.
Yeah. Are they all coming up from Atlanta too? Like his
No, so
brother?
it's only the Jersey brother and parents.
Still be
It's
nice to
too
see them.
complicated to coordinate like
Too many kids.
yeah, there's 9 children. They could
Yeah.
field a baseball team.
That's what they're going for, I think.
Yeah, actually
Yeah.
the two boys in Jersey are we are bummed to learn that their baseball game that we were going to go see has been postponed. So
Oh,
that sucks. But I mean,
uh,
baseball's boring, but also kids playing is fun.
that's Fair. Absolutely wild. You also did how'd the basement thing go?
Oh, right. That happened. That adulting happened. I wasn't sure if I'd like actually
You
talked
were
about that.
prepping. You were prepping for it.
Right. Okay. So we prepped successfully-ish. We discovered, I
Nice.
think I said that the um, water thing that we needed to move, which is like a water softener system thing, um, it our all of our household water basically goes through that first. So
Yeah.
I couldn't turn it off and then move that thing because then the where's the water? So we were like, they got here and we were like, we couldn't move this. Here's a new plan. We're just gonna go around it. They finished it. It was great. It only took like, I don't know, 3.5 hours. They were like jackhammering and it was crazy and loud. And it was great. It was like a four-man crew, a five-man crew, and I could hear them like giggling and laughing, and they were speaking like Spanish and English. So I was like trying to pick up on stuff, but there was also a lot of jackhammering happening. Um, but yeah, they were great. It
Nice.
was really expensive and it was rough writing that check, but
Yep.
especially because right after that, Barry's tooth was acting up, and we're like, okay, so there's just like a bunch of money out the door.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye money. That's what being
Yeah.
an adult is. Just saying goodbye to
Yeah, it was
money.
so fun, especially because this year for taxes, we had to pay again
Mm.
instead of getting money back.
Yep. That's the
Being
problem
an
with having good
adult is not
investments.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
the investments were the problem.
They always are. I mean, that's a good thing though. I mean, good and
Yeah.
bad. You know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
was painful in the moment, but I get it. Good and bad.
Just on Barry's tooth scenario, when I was working at the bar, it was like really late at night, and I ended up one of my wisdom teeth like got infected or impacted or something, I forget. And the guy that I owned the bar with was an older guy, and he's like, "Oh, back in my day, we used to rinse our mouths out with hydrogen peroxide to try to like fight the infection." This is me telling you to never do that. So fast forward to me in the Price Chopper parking lot at 3 a.m. because that's when I got out, and they were 24 hours, and I was vomiting because I tried to rinse my mouth with hydrogen peroxide, and immediately just started gagging. And
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, don't do that, folks.
No. No, don't do that.
As far as my 2 weeks, I did a little bit of adulting as well. Our bathroom sink was leaking, and then thankfully I like caught it as soon as it was, so I was able to
Oh,
shut the water off.
nice.
And it was just a cartridge replacement, which I had gone through with the kitchen sink. So I
Hey,
like immediately was like, I know everything that's happening
you're
here.
a plumber.
But I brought the part into the store, the plumbing store, and the guy was like, "This is old." And I'm like, "Yes, I can tell you it's 19 years old because that's when the house was put together." And he's like, "Yeah, this will take us a day." I'm like, "That's fair." So it was fine. Went right back in together.
Nice.
Felt like a real boy.
Yeah.
Um, we also had our show in the last 2 weeks. We played at Loaded Questions. It went really well. I thought the owner stayed and the head brewer stayed, and we had a really good crowd. We started
Nice.
off quieter. We ended up getting louder, but nobody complained, so that was fine.
Okay.
And had a really good talk with the owner and the head brewer afterwards. And we weren't getting paid for it. We were getting paid in beer. So
Nice.
Sully and I always make sure to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So we did, and we were hanging out with those guys, having a few beers afterwards. And they play this game at their brewery called What's in My Mouth, where the owner, or sorry, whoever's bartending, because they brew their own beer, they have a couple guest beers on too. They'll put like an ounce of two or three beers into one cup and then give it to you. And you have to sip it or
And
taste it and
figure
guess
out.
which beers they are. Uh,
Whoa.
so I came in first, just saying, correctly guessed
Hey,
two of the three
hey.
beers. And to be fair, it was a complete guess because I had no idea.
Nice.
Yeah. And then aside from that, today I finished up and planted the grass seed. I've been working on the backyard where the rink goes because the shallow end is too shallow and the deep end is too deep. So I was using a stirrup hoe to pull the sod off the shallow end, which sucked. And then I was moving dirt into the deep end, which also sucked, but sucked a little bit less, and then planted all that. But I didn't have to water it because we got a double rainbow like thunderstorm right before I came up here. So
Love that.
thanks for that. And lastly, this is just your reminder that we will be coming to you in 3 weeks after this because for our next episode, I will be in Rwanda. So again, I posted the link on last episode's show, so I won't bog you down with the details here. But me and Amanda and Sean and a couple other people are going to
Sully,
Rwanda.
sorry,
I
don't
know.
call him
I
that.
can't though. It's so weird to say that to a bunch of people, a bunch of you. But yeah, we're headed out to Rwanda in next Friday. We leave and we're going to be there for about 8 or 9 days,
That's
and
awesome.
just really excited to get back to the kids. I will say we were talking about it maybe off air or not. I know I don't remember, but we're trying to like bring more stuff. So like we made a picture book, a photo book.
Yeah.
Of the last 3 years, 3 visits that we've gone with different pictures of the boys and us and stuff like that. So we got that. It hasn't got here yet. So we're gonna bring that and leave that for them. And
Nice.
then instead of doing the Polaroid thing, they have like it's basically the same idea, except it's a printer and you can like put any picture through it. So I
Oh,
picked up one of those, tested it out, works great. So I'm gonna bring that so we can have like each boy can get a couple pictures
that's
of whatever they
awesome.
want.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to focus on things we can leave with them. So if you want more information about that, it's Ubaka U Rwanda. That's Ubaka U and then Rwanda Rwanda. If you Google that, it's the first website that comes up. You can learn about what we do. You can donate if you can or are able, and if not, we just appreciate people spreading the word. I put it in our Discord. Sully was on the main news, like
That's so
local
cool.
news, either today or yesterday, talking about the trip and everything. So that's cool. We're trying to find new ways to get the message out there because for him, I think this is like 18 or 19 years
Yeah,
that
that's
he's been doing
wild.
this. So yeah, it'd be really nice to uh, spread the wings out and reach more people so they know about the work we're doing. So check that out if you can. And on that note, we'll talk about us again. So this is your every episode reminder to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can find us at Adult Book Club 21. That's all one word, Adult Book Club, and then the number 21. Give us a like, subscribe, and follow, or don't. It's up to you. I will say thank you guys for listening and watching. Our numbers have been doing really great in the last 10 days. I don't know why, but if you're all AI bots, that's one thing, whatever. But we appreciate everybody and anybody checking us out.
That's awesome.
And on that note, enough about us, I guess. We get back to the book, which once again was An Academy for Liars. And I will say, every time I wrote this, I wrote An Academy of Liars and had to change it. So that's on me. But it's An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. And Henderson describes herself as a dark, speculative fiction author who loves writing stories about complicated, intense, and sometimes violent women. An Academy for Liars is her third novel and was published in 2024. She broke onto the scene in 2020 with her debut hit, The Year of the Witching, and followed that up with House of Hunger in 2022. I will say, I've seen this cover a lot of places, but those two books, according to the internet, were like big deals. Like got a lot of fame for her.
I was
So
gonna say I don't recognize either of them, but that means pretty much nothing.
I didn't either, but to be fair, there's a lot out there.
Yeah.
Her latest novel is titled When I Was Death and was just released in March of 2026.
Oh
So
wow.
a lot out there for her if you enjoy her. We'll see how we sway your opinion based on this book. But before we get to that, Taja, if you want to read us the jacket, we will give everyone a quick synopsis before we start dragging this story.
All right, Lennon Carter's life is falling apart. Then she gets a mysterious phone call inviting her to take the entrance exam for Drayton College, a school of magic hidden in a secret pocket of Savannah. Lennon has been chosen because, like everyone else at the school, she has the innate gift of persuasion, the ability to wield her will like a weapon, using it to control others and, in rare cases, matter itself. After passing the test, Lennon begins to learn how to master her devastating and unsettling power. Despite persuasion's heavy toll on her body and mind, she is wholly captivated by her studies, by Drayton's lush, moss-draped campus, and by her brilliant classmates. But even more Captivating is her charismatic advisor Dante, who both intimidates and enthralls her.
Mm.
As Lennon continues in her studies, her control grows and she starts to uncover more about the secret world she has entered into, including the disquieting history of Drayton College. She is increasingly disturbed by what she learns, for it seems that the ultimate test is to embrace absolute power without succumbing to corruption. And it's a test she's terrified she's going to fail.
Is she though?
Is she, though? Also, like, classmates, really?
And also when it said it was like a moss covered thing, I will say there's quite a few, like I didn't write them down, I didn't do Hikium, but there's quite a few sayings or specific turn of phrases that she seemed to fall in love with that came up a
Mm.
lot. And when we
Mm.
described every building
That's nice.
on campus at Drake It or whatever the heck it was called, I'm gonna do great.
Drayton
Um,
College?
she was like, "Oh, it's half covered in ivy."
Yeah.
Like you could barely see it between the magnolia bushes and the half cover of
Like, we
ivy.
really want you to know you're in Savannah, Georgia.
Yes, and to be fair, she's from Savannah, so
I
I guess she
mean,
would know.
a little love letter then.
Yes. So on that note, our main character is Lennon. What did you think of her as we got to know her?
I wrote kind of the worst. I wasn't really a fan. Yeah, she was like a little too tropey, always falling for toxic men and not having like any self-worth or tying her self-worth so heavily to somebody that's not her. Um, yeah, I said I didn't really relate or connect with her at all. Like I didn't care about her much. There wasn't much that endeared me to her.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Olive, like right off the bat,
Yeah.
where it was like, okay, I'm struggling here. We meet her where she's like preparing for her engagement party, where she's already an hour late to it. She's talking about how much she doesn't love her fiance, and maybe it will work out, maybe it won't. How she hates her life in Colorado and she moved here for him. And then she walks in on her fiance Wyatt fucking her best friend in the bathroom and decides to drive off. And it's like, okay, I don't know what part I'm supposed to like feel anything here for because her immediate reaction is like, fuck Wyatt, I'm done with that. But it's also like, now I have nothing.
And
And
now I'm
like
gonna
she
go kill
becomes, yeah,
myself.
she becomes very suicidal. And then like
Yeah.
the phone call from, I'm going to
Drayton.
keep calling it Drake It if
Drayton.
I don't look it up because I already can't
Drayton.
remember. Drayton, thank you.
Drayton.
Um, the phone call from Drayton like saves her from that in an ivy covered phone booth, of course.
Obviously.
So yeah, right off the bat, I was like, girl, okay. Like maybe this is a good turning point for you. Maybe this is where we see you like come out of your shell and like obviously you have nothing that you're leaving behind, whatever. And nope, it was like we go from Wyatt who sucks to immediately when she gets into the school, she starts fucking one of her classmates,
Who
Ian,
also
who
sucks.
also sucks and it's just like this super fucking alpha douche and she's even like he's like an alpha douche and he's like well I'd probably be overdosing on drugs if I wasn't at this school so they kind of saved my life and it's like cool I'm gonna keep sleeping with you because I have no self-worth even though I'm
Mhm.
like finding this power within myself and like even though I'm sure it's you like your typical fucking story she's struggling with it but everyone's like oh the potential
She's so
here so
powerful.
incredible what you have going on in between those 2 years, you know? It was fucking laughable, I thought, to give us her as a character because I just, I, there wasn't a point of rooting for her.
No,
It was just kind of like, dude, pull your head out of your ass and like
absolutely.
come up for air.
The only like bit that gave me a sliver of hope and then it was like yanked away was in the beginning when she's getting ready for the engagement party and she's looking into that mirror thing because I've totally done that before where you like have one yeah and then like her reflection with no eyes is like doing its own thing. I was like, "Ooh, this could be like fun and creepy." And then like we don't really go anywhere with that.
I mean, it does come back eventually in the
I
end.
mean, but
Yeah.
barely.
Yeah, not to a point where it matters. Also,
Or where anything's explained.
yeah, and also in that moment, she's having a panic attack, and she talks
Hmm.
about how paralyzing the panic attacks are, and then we never revisit that again.
She does have some panic attacks later,
She
but
has like, yeah, but it's like
she gets talked down from one because it's totally fine. Don't
because
worry.
Dante has to talk to her, so of
Yeah.
course we have that. But it was like she was talking about how debilitating they were, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, then I had like two more all fall. I don't know, maybe that's a lot. I don't have panic attacks, so sorry if I have offended. But it was just really upsetting. And like spoilers, without getting into spoilers, when we learned about her past, that didn't really open up anything to me.
It didn't
Like,
endear me to her any further.
no. And like that kind of goes into the bigger shell of how she treated her family, especially
And
her
her
sister.
friends.
Yeah, friends. Why don't I have any? I don't know. Maybe you're the problem. Uh,
Yeah.
especially the way she treated her sister Carly, and this is definitely a spoiler, so we'll get into it later. But like, you had opportunities here to like prove you've grown, to like prove that you're not that person anymore. And it like every turn, it was what it's all about Lennon. And I don't really give a fuck about who I'm fucking with, even if they're like actually doing something out of the genuine good of their heart when I don't fucking deserve it because I'm a terrible person.
She is. And she also, I found it annoying how she would like call out those moments where like Carly or her family or someone else is basically like reaching out an olive branch or like actually doing something to help her or like calling her on her shit. They did that too. And she's still like, oh, well, I'm just gonna do me.
Lennon's gonna,
Lame.
yeah,
Like,
she does not get better. Very
no.
similar to Olive. So there you have that. If you listen to the
A
last episode,
trend.
you know
Woohoo.
where this is going. Uh, so let's move on for now. Oh, it's right there. I knew I wrote it. So I always like try to write the what is it uh what are those called? Pro that like the pronouns, this like the names, places, all that stuff. What are those called?
Nouns?
Well,
Proper
proper
nouns.
nouns. Thank you. Proper pronouns. Proper nouns. I always try to write them somewhere in the document because like I start reading another book usually immediately after this, and that's why I forget. Drayton College. Second question. It was right there, Russ. I was skipping. Anyway, our setting is present day US with the magically hidden Drayton College. What did you think of the world and magic, talking about persuasion as magic here, that Henderson built?
So, I mean, I think the whole hidden college thing, obviously not unlike Hogwarts, and I'm sure other hidden college dark academia trope kind of things, is a it's a done thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think that it is a cool concept, honestly. I think that's neat. I found it a little annoying and felt like full of plot holes, how it was like, you've been applying to Drayton your whole life, you just didn't know it. And I'm like, what kind of big brother shit is this? Like,
Yeah.
if they're not connected, like, they're like a private magical school, not like some government entity thing. Like how are they so far reaching? Like I just found that really unbelievable
We do
and
get it.
that annoyed me.
We do get a taste of that later on at the end, where we learn about their enrollment system through one of her friends or something like that, where they talk about how they like a sports team. They have like scouts out there who are like
Sure.
tracking the
Sure.
certain people, whatever. And like she talks about the files they
Yeah.
find where it's like, here's when you like fucking had your tooth pulled, and here's where you like cried to whatever. Like it's yeah, it was very overreaching for a school of like how many do you think was in her class?
I mean like
Maybe 2 dozen?
20.
Yeah, there. Perfect.
Like
So yeah, we're doing a lot of work here for these 20 really great, and by that I mean shitty individuals.
and they were coming from all over the world. I just like I that part of it because it wasn't this is going to be a really silly sentence. It wasn't actual magic.
Nice.
That like but you know what I mean? Like Hogwarts and the whole like we've discovered that while you're muggle born you have mad like that somehow just makes innate sense to me. Like you
Yeah.
can you can explain that away with like not even a one-liner. But this thing where it's like, oh no, we're here in like this real world where it's not really magic, it's just like super good brains.
And it's all about potential because it's not like she was a very persuasive person.
Not
Anyway,
only that, but she also like talks for most of her time at the school about how crappy she's doing. She's like the bottom of her class. Like
yeah.
Again, I'm just gonna go back to plot holes because that feels like the most appropriate phrase for what I felt like when I was reading it. And so it kind of took away from the world building, scene setting scenario,
Yeah.
except to say that while it was full of ivy and moss and it was clearly Savannah, I kept getting KSC vibes. Mostly because that's my college experience. So
Sure,
I'm like,
sure.
that quad sounds a little bit like where that squirrel chased me. Like I,
Is Logos the owl's nest?
right? Um, but it just seemed like the right size.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was picturing. Aside from there was not a lot of moss and ivy and whatnot.
Sure. They're still working on that. They haven't been around long enough yet.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And they're not
Um,
in the South enough.
yeah, that too. I want to get back to plot holes, but something you just said kicked something into my head before I forget it, and I think I already forgot it.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right, I'll come back to it if I think about it. But as far as the plot holes are concerned, as you were talking about, and like she even like brings it up about persuasion, like being like magic, like they create illusions, and like if
Sure.
you create a strong enough illusion, like even reality believes it or whatever. The thing that I struggled with was we see different times where people like take control of people, where people like make people do things and like all this stuff. And it's like, how do we know that's not happening all the time? Or why isn't that happening all the time? Like the rules were very loosey goosey here.
Well, and you'd think it would be like other magic systems where, like, if you're gonna exert a huge amount of persuasion or will on somebody, that there would be a cost. Be it like a butterfly flapping its wings kind of thing, and like something shitty happens somewhere else, or like you are weak. And perhaps that is what's happening. It just wasn't really explained.
Well, there was that cost where she talks about how like she gets nosebleeds, she can like
Sure,
feel it.
but like a nosebleed, and she does seize a bunch of
Yeah.
times. That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. And they do talk about how, like, back in the day, before they really got, before they really knew what they were doing, they had like people's head explode and shit. So like
Oh,
there was some like schooling there,
okay.
I
Where they
guess.
were really dialing it in.
Yeah, really trying to understand the power of your brain. But the thing that bothered me about it was it just felt like so like the rules as I remember them, like the first rule was like don't use your magic on other faculty or students. And spoilers outside of spoilers, it happens all the time.
Everyone's fucking doing it.
Everyone's doing it. And like
Yeah.
to the point where like she even like notices the signature of who's fucking in her head. Like it's
Yeah.
like, dude, the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. We're all telling everyone
World.
about Fight Club. And now Fight Club doesn't exist anymore. Like
No.
that made no sense to me. And I felt like there was so much of that going on where it was like something was described to us. Okay, that makes sense. And then immediately we're going to contradict it. Like
Yeah.
pages fucking later, we're going to
Yeah.
contradict it. Fuck, I just thought of it and then I lost it again. Oh,
No.
no, I got it. So I did appreciate one interesting aspect of this magic was she talks about, I know I'm all hands today. I've had a few
Keep going.
drinks.
Keep going.
So one of the aspects she talks about, I'm making our YouTube more exciting for those that just listen. Yeah,
You're
you're
gonna
missing the
forget
video.
again. You're gonna forget again.
So they talk about how why couldn't you just like if I'm a master persuasionist, if I'm Dante, why can't I just go into your head, use your power to like do what I need to do if you have the talent? And they talk about how like that doesn't work that way because you need to know how to ride the bike. Like if your body doesn't know how to ride the bike, I can't get in there and ride a bike. So
Sure.
flimsy, but at least that made sense for why
Sure.
we went through so many hoops for Lennon. I don't know how they saw her potential when it was so steeped behind all these walls, but at least there was some sentence thrown in there to give us some
That's
explanation
true.
for why we're putting so much work into this girl.
Yeah, and I'm still stuck on the fact that like all of this is happening to first year students.
Yes. Well, to
Like,
be fair, you barely stay for 2 years because they talk about like right off the bat, they're like, you could graduate faster. It's not
oh,
like
like her specifically?
no, anyone. They were like,
Oh,
it's basically 2 years, but you could do like a year and a half,
wasn't
or you
what's
might get
his
thrown.
face there for like 7 years? Claude or whatever? Am I
Well,
making that name up?
I don't know, but that was because he was becoming an assistant or whatever the fuck,
Oh,
an
right.
apprentice.
Apprentice.
Yeah. So he was like getting it. And also didn't
And
it
he
seem
was
like
fucking him. So
everybody
like
was going to be an apprentice and they were just, it's anyway.
the structure didn't really exist and the like rules of the structure didn't really exist. So it made it hard to get invested when I was just like, oh, we're winging it here.
Yeah. And kind of on that fact, what I mentioned earlier, the timeline here was so
So
fucking
bad.
flimsy, where it'd be like, oh, we're going to be kind to this. It did fit our entire story into one book. It wasn't like
Yeah.
Hogwarts, where like every year at school is its own book. Okay, I'll give you that. But it would be like, oh, okay, weeks have gone by or months have gone by, or like next we're into May. And then the next page, we would act like we were reacting to something that happened before we took that jump to May, as if it
Yeah.
happened yesterday, because we already forgot we said we were moving forward a month.
Yeah.
That happened a lot.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, the Christmas break, like she was Christmas Eve at her parents' house and like learns that her advisor is changing, leaves a threatening voicemail. Dante shows up the next day. Spoilers here, sorry. They go back to campus. All her friends are back at campus, even though she was told school doesn't start till January 22nd. And they're all like, oh, my vacation
They
didn't
have
work
some
out. I
excuse.
broke up with this person. It's like, you've been gone 36 hours. Like,
Right?
what the fuck are we talking about? You flew to the Mediterranean and realized that boat wasn't for you and just flew back? Like, what are we doing here? And like,
It felt a lot like the author had to call back the characters to like make some other plot thing happen.
yes, we needed unnamed. I mean, they were named, but it was like,
Basically unnamed, let's be
yeah,
real.
we needed thing one and thing two to do something for us. So we
Yeah.
did. Yeah. And like, so that became a struggle for me as well. Like, not liking the character. The setting was fine. Like the fact that it took place in a couple different places in the US, like that made it easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Genesis of Misery, where it's like I don't understand, I can't visualize this. Like it's
What
very
are
easy.
these rocks doing in space? What the fuck?
Wow, these rocks are made out of
What?
different things. Tell me how your
What?
space works. But it was like, no, we're in Utah. Like, okay, haven't been
Yeah.
there, but I can picture it. Now we're in South Carolina. Got it.
Okay, I will say, one thing that it did really well was um make me wish that I could create that type of travel where I just call up an elevator to East Japan. Like I'd go to Thailand all the time if I was just like, "Oop, gotta open this door."
I would definitely be more for that than teleportation. Like,
Oh,
if
fuck
I'm
yeah.
like in something, even if we're teleporting in the thing, at least I'm like, my body's not reassembling, so we're good, right?
I mean, it probably is. And then maybe you get fused with the elevator. That'd be worse. It'd be like the fly, but you'd be half elevator and half Russell.
Just waiting for somebody to come. Hello!
Terrifying.
Welcome to my elevator.
Oh, we are going off the rails.
Leave the doors open so I can see the beautiful vista you've created. Let's move on to something else I don't like. So, Lennon has classmates that play their parts, but our main secondary is her advisor, Dante. What did you think of our advisor slash love interest?
Um, Tropey and only surface deep.
Hmm.
Like tried to, I think, portray him as like the hot but brainy and powerful, like bad guy, like untouchable bad guy, because he's just like, not that he's like evil, but that kind of bad. And that annoyed me, because that also is like kind of an obnoxious juxtaposition of like professor who's like all tattooed and sexy. Not that those things can't exist together. I'm sure that they do. But like, I don't know, it just felt too on the nose for like a now I'm gonna fuck my student.
And also, he's like this all powerful. He's like the top dog,
Yeah.
outside of Eileen, the vice chancellor here. Like everyone knows it. He's only 32 or 34. Lennon's like 24, 25. So it's not that huge gap
Yeah.
there or whatever. But it was just frustrating, like from the
Yeah.
moment we meet him, it was like, okay, they're gonna fuck.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And like it rivaled the book that shan't be named for the amount of like just dumb fucking I'm in your head moments where
Yes.
all she cared about was fucking Dante. And that's all she fucking thought about. And the amount of times we had to talk about how, like, especially after he told her that it couldn't happen and he tries to,
Right.
like, get rid of her. And
Right.
then it's like the amount of times their hands almost touch. And he's,
Oh,
like, very cognizant of, like, even if their forearms can't be in the same area. But meanwhile, as you pointed out, he's, like, swimming, with his swim trunks on and nothing
shirtless.
else and showing off that hot bod every morning and all this. Like, it was just so obvious to the point where I posted on Instagram about it. Like I was eye rolling
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
fucking time as I was reading this because it was just so obvious what was going to happen, even though we can't do it.
That 100% agree with. But also, like, I can handle, okay, that's not exactly accurate. I could excuse some of that bullshit if there was actually good chemistry
Mm.
between the two characters, and I didn't really get that.
Well, and here's why, at least in my opinion, because he refused to like tell her anything about himself. And that
Or
became
anything about anything.
it became our crutch, where it
Yeah.
was like he would be like, "Oh, I'm not." He would just change the subject, ignore the
Yeah.
question completely, or like be like, "Lennon, we can't." Okay, so this is literally the other character we spend the most time with, and we know nothing about him. So
We
how
get like
fun is
weird
that?
little snippets that we're like, oh, this will come back and we'll get some explanation, and then we don't.
Maybe we'll someday figure out why he's so obsessed with moths. Nope, we won't. And like it was just I don't know, was it just supposed to be eye candy for our fucking mental pictures of how
Yeah.
sexy he was with all his tattoos and his ripped body of a 34-year-old man? It's just it was it was frustrating. And
Yeah.
honestly, like seemed like everybody pointed out a dozen red flags all along the way, and Lennon just kept being like, "You don't get him. You just see what he's showing you. You're not what he shows me." Which again is nothing because he won't fucking tell you. He makes you breakfast and he knows that you like a soft poached egg. Sick. Maybe let's talk about his past.
That's amazing. Yeah, wasn't a fan.
Um, there was something else I wanted to point out on that. Um, Dante, courtship. No, I don't know. Yeah, it was just a very frustrating fixation. And then, like, we do in spoilers, we can talk about it more, but we learned some of his past, and then get no explanation about it
Yeah.
either. So,
Yeah.
like that, I walk away from this knowing absolutely jack shit about Dante. Oh,
And
that's what it was.
caring even less.
And then what makes it worse is she points out that I don't know if he was her teacher or not, but basically this is the same relationship she had with Wyatt,
Yep.
where we learned that Wyatt was also a college professor that she just became enamored with and followed to Colorado when he got a job there. So it's like, okay, so you're just hot for teacher. Cool.
Yeah.
Like that actually makes this less because
Right.
like now it's just you. Again, like Lennon was so
Cringe.
yeah, but and also so just built upon the men
Mm.
she leaned on. Like she needed to have a man. And it didn't matter what they said, she was gonna get with them.
And also, like, I mean, I guess Dante was slightly different, but Wyatt, it seemed like, never really gave her much, like, of himself or
Yeah,
like um positive reinforcement of any kind.
it seemed
Like,
like she was just the housemaid. He was
yeah.
like, "Here, you're
Yeah,
another like,
she even said that, I think, at one point.
yeah."
Yeah.
It's like you're a nice thing that I keep, and now it's like, oh, I'm bored of you,
Yeah.
so whatever. Um, yeah, it just, mm, yeah.
Yeah. I
We'll
have
get
like a
more into it in spoilers, folks. But before we have that, we have your get to know your podcaster question. This is what makes Lennon special. Lennon has a special ability to open gates as a way to travel between places and time. For her, they show up as elevators. If you could open a moment to your past to observe or relive that moment or day, what moment or day would you choose and why? Great talk, Russ.
so I had written down this, but then earlier when I was talking about wanting the gates, I was like, Thailand. If I could just like go and relive my whole honeymoon, I would do that. But real answer is, there was this one day that my friends and I spent at the beach when I was studying abroad in Australia. We didn't like skip class or anything. I think it was even a weekend. But it was just like sort of carefree time in my life when like I was I think truly independent for the first time, and like there was all this possibility and just like good times, good company. We like dug a big hole and made a little like sand lady, and like I don't know, it was just I don't know, that kind of age
Yeah.
and that experience. I think that day sort of like epitomizes that experience for me. So it was kind of a little bow version of of my study abroad.
Nice. That's a nice moment. For me, it's something I think about a lot, because like ever since I was a teen, mid-teens, I like knew I wanted to get married young, and like I knew I wanted a family, and it was like always such a big deal to me. So like I knew I don't ever regret or feel differently about my choice to get married when we did, but I feel like it's very similar to like when I started cooking in kitchens, I hadn't like been an adult and eaten in enough kitchens to understand like how food should look. So like our wedding was incredible, but there's so many moments that I feel like I didn't even understand at that point because
Really?
I just hadn't experienced enough weddings. Like when Amanda brought up like the first look thing, I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, there you are. She can hear this. We were supposed to record Friday when she wasn't here, so she didn't have to hear this. But there's like other moments like that where like I understood the gravity of it, right? But like I feel like
You didn't
having
have
gone
like
to
context for it.
yeah, so having gone to other weddings since,
Yeah.
it's more like eye-opening where it's like, oh man, like if I had had that experience, I feel like I would have felt or not felt it's not it doesn't change anything about how I feel about the day or
Yeah.
how like
You don't wish
incredible
you'd
it
done
was.
it differently.
Yeah, I don't wish any of that. It's more just like there would be those moments where like I understood how important those moments were.
Yeah.
Um, and that might have just, I don't know, affected how I took it in. Like, because I,
Mhm.
as a loser, I had watched The Office and I understood you have to take those like snapshot moments of your day because it goes by in a blur. So I tried to do that where I was like, I'm going to try to remember this. And that worked really well until the brown liquor kicked in. So everything was going well until that point. But, so it wasn't like I missed things or we didn't do things or whatever. I probably be some choices that we made that I would change. Like I loved having my brother as the caterer, but it seemed to make it so he couldn't enjoy the wedding. So maybe it would have been better to do something else with that and stuff
Yeah.
like that that we learned afterwards. So if I could like change a couple things and go back and see how that would go, I'd probably try that. But as we learned in spoilers, sometimes when you go back to change things, it doesn't work out so well. So but to kind of what you were talking about too, like there would be points for sure on the bus trip that I would love to go back and relive. Again, same reason. I was an 18-year-old kid experiencing freedom for the first
Mhm.
time, and like we thought we were going to do it again, you know, and like how
Mhm.
dumb are you? You like you it's something I still talk about today, like realizing that the place you're in, if you travel or the moment or whatever, understanding that regardless of if you come back here, like this moment won't be there again. So really try to take the most out of it. And I feel
Yeah.
like we did do that, but we could have done it more.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think like that is that experience for me is like where I learned that lesson to like live in the moment sounds so hokey and like on a throw pillow, but it's so accurate. Like I grew a lot as a person from doing that because it was again like for the first time being truly independent in like a thrown in the deep end kind of way, or it
Yeah.
felt like that. But then there was so much and it's a funky age too, because like you really don't have a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
But then you have all this like potential, untapped potential, and you're kind of just learning how to like walk. You're like a big old giraffe, like, or I guess a little giraffe, fresh baby giraffe who doesn't know how to do things. But yeah, that experience would be cool to, even if I'm not like reliving it, even if I'm just like watching myself do it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way where it'd just be like just to see it again, you
Yeah.
know, and like I'm sure there'd be some moments you're like, oh God, like look at that puka shell necklace.
It-
Nice.
it's especially funny, I think, because that day was one that I had forgotten about. in the grand scheme of things, but there were some pictures. And like I'm very thankful that I am a very like heavy picture taker in moments because like I have a bad memory. Like I'm not good at remembering fine details. And I had totally forgotten we made that sand lady because my friend's mom back home was in a production of Vagina Monologue. So we made like a naked lady on the beach. And like I wouldn't have remembered all of those like things leading up to it if I didn't have that picture. And
Yeah. Take pictures.
sorry, that was down the.
Well, again, I think it's why we're like the perfect generation too, because we have enough of the internet. Like, I don't know if that came up on your Facebook or not, but like that was a big thing. That's like one of the nice things about Facebook when it's like, hey, here's something you did 20 years ago. Good
I
thing you
was just
posted
gonna
it.
say I do have things where it's like 20 years memory, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yes, 20 years ago.
Yeah. All right, so that's us. Let us know about the moments that you spent with us that you would go back to, because really this is about us, guys. So come on. Don't fill the comments, the no comments we get. Don't fill them with your own dreams.
No comments we get.
Totally can if you want. And on that note, we're going to move into spoilers. Oh, before we do that, we have your song. This is the part that we're going into spoilers. If you don't know the book, probably stay, because we'll tell you about this book, because this is the part that we're going into spoilers. It's time to learn about everything that's so terrible in this book and what it's all about in spoilers.
Like, but you won't learn a lot because we didn't learn a lot.
Yeah, you learn about all the things that you wish you would have like resolved but didn't.
Yeah.
This first sentence will sound familiar. Lennon has the power to open gates which allow travel between places as well as into the past. Because of this, her struggles and violent outbursts at school are overlooked because of how unique this skill is. When she is preparing for finals, another student named Ian, who she used to fuck, takes control of her and stands her up on the 5th-story bell tower. As she is about to succumb to his will and jump, she manages to take control, call a gate, and get inside. Ian is closed in the doors and killed when Lennon tells the gate to descend. Again, her gates are elevators, so she literally cuts his body in half with a falling elevator. Due to this attack and the death of her gates trainer Benedict, it falls to her advisor Dante to train her, especially in calling gates to the past, and sexually. Over the summer, they spend months working together and eventually they fuck. ... Shocker. When Lennon is thought to be ready, she is brought to the Vice Chancellor Eileen, who immediately takes control of her mind, which she's not supposed to do, and sees all her secrets about Gates and Dante. Eileen decides to let Lennon return to school. Meanwhile, her sister Carly has been digging into Dante's past and finds out he was a troubled boy who was mostly mute for a lot of years. He has a dangerous and violent past, and because of this, Lennon decides to go back in time to confront Benedict on the day he died to find out who killed him. During this confrontation, Benedict looks into her mind and feels she is a disaster waiting to happen. He decides to kill her then and there, but Lennon's instincts take over and she flips the control and then forces Benedict to kill himself. Everyone thought it was Dante who compelled him to do this, including Lennon up until this point. When she returns to the present, she is comforted by Dante, and then they return to school. The gate that holds the school out of time and space is collapsing, and Lennon will need to call upon her power sooner than she expected. She is disturbed by how frail her friend Blaine is, and when she follows her later that night, she discovers that Blaine is charged with keeping the current gatekeeper, William, alive. He is in constant pain and suffering to hold the gate open and keep the school safe. This is the future promised to Lennon. Not knowing who to trust, she tries to escape, but is thwarted at every pass. The faculty turns against her and Dante, but her fellow students rebel against them. In the end, she is able to raise a new gate to keep the school safe with the help of Dante's power. He suffers for her, and as William dies, the building collapses and Dante is believed to be dead inside. With her new place as chancellor of the school because she controls the gate, Lennon makes swift changes by getting rid of most of the faculty and promoting her friends to run it. She is devastated by the loss of Dante and spends months away from the school. When she finally feels strong enough to call another gate to the past, she goes looking for Dante, believing he was able to escape in the seconds before collapse. She finds him, but he is unsure if he wants to live or accept the peaceful embrace of death. Lennon leaves it up to him and goes to the gate. Dante dives in just before it closes. Magic. Yes. So, hope that filled it in for you guys. let's start with kind of what we were already talking about. But what did you think of our relationship between Lennon and Dante? Now that we can talk about all of it, we can also discuss the spoilers that were uncovered about Dante's past here.
So their relationship was boring. I was unconvinced of their chemistry. Like, I don't really love the like student teacher trope, but it
Yeah.
can work if there is chemistry, and there wasn't. So it just fell incredibly flat for me. And like you'd said before, she's just it's a repeat of Wyatt. Um, which is annoying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think just unconvinced of it being necessary.
It was extra frustrating because when she gets to Drayton, she talks about how she like finally feels like she's found a place. Like she's one of those people who's always floated, not knowing her purpose. She's tried school for different things, didn't work out. Marriage almost to Wyatt, not working out, all this stuff. And now she like feels like she could become someone here. And then Dante's a big part of that, obviously, as her advisor. And after the first semester, during that break, where it's like, oh, your advisor's changing, she's like, I don't want to go back. I'm not going back unless Dante's there. And like this whole her becoming powerful in herself is now attached to the man
Yeah.
once again. And it was like, okay, so we're just doing the same fucking thing. And how is this about self empowering herself when she's just literally saying, I will throw away this identity I found where I don't know, like 3 weeks earlier, she was like, I couldn't imagine ever leaving here. Like, I don't even know if I want to go home for break because
Yeah.
this fits me so well.
I also like find it annoying that it fits her so well and she's only seeming to focus on the situation with Dante. And like, yeah, she I think is maybe recognizing, or maybe she's not recognizing that she has power. Maybe she's being convinced that she has power by Dante, who she wants to bang. Um, but then like she's got people who are her air quotes friends, or who are trying to be her friends, and she's kind of keeping them at a distance. So like what about here is so enticing? It's got to be obviously it's just Dante, but like how can you feel so at peace and at home when it's like I only have one thing going for me and it's not even going for me because he says we can't be together.
And also the persuasion thing I'm terrible at right now.
Yeah, and
Too.
I
So
don't want to hurt my rat, which like I one thing I do respect about her.
nice. Yeah, and it, like if you think back, I don't know, my experience, my very brief experience in college, and granted she's 24, so she's older and has lived a little bit more life. But like that first few months, I feel like it's more just like kind of what you were just talking about before, like learning about your newfound independence and like where you're not completely on your own. And obviously, if something terrible happens, you still have a
Yeah.
phone call away, whatever.
Right.
But on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of on you. So
Yeah.
yeah, she has lived a little bit more life than that. But I feel like with Ian, who she jumps into bed with like the first fucking day, and they are together like it's at least a month or so. And then what? So if they're together a month, that's October. And then 2 months later, you're like, if Dante won't have me, I won't come back. Like, how are you? Why? How are we just going so quickly over the spectrum?
Um, she's like easily infatuated, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but it does kind of beg the question a little bit about what you were saying. I don't remember if this was, it must have been before recording, of like, if persuasion is so, um, persuasion is what everybody's doing there, how can she be sure that she's not being persuaded to be wanting him or to be, any of those things? How can you know that you are your own thoughts and feelings?
Yes. And also, this just came to me, but like from his side, like, why couldn't, if it was so unbelievable and they couldn't do it and he actually stood on that, why wouldn't he persuade her against it?
That that's an easier. I was like, why wouldn't they do it? And then he could just take her memories. Then I was like, oh, hold up. That's more problematic than what Russell said.
Um, yeah, I don't know. And again, like that's where I think, as you were kind of pointing out with like the Hogwarts recruiting, like it's very obvious when you have magic. And I
Yeah.
think that was a struggle with this, where like even like Ian is seen as this powerhouse. And like in spoilers, I've mentioned it a couple times where like she breaks control from Ian and takes it back. She breaks control from Benedict and takes it back. to get into Lago's house, which is like the whatever sorority on town or sorority
The secret
fraternity.
society.
Thank you, secret society. She like overpowers Ian and makes him stab himself in the hand. And like all those moments aren't really explained as to what changed. Like it's just literally like, oh, she's so powerful. She's able to like,
I was gonna say, except for the fact that like everyone thought she was weak and then she proved that she wasn't, and yet at no point was she like, oh, I'm gonna grow into this
yeah.
being powerful and whatnot. I'm not saying you needed to like go around being an Ian and like, oh, I'm hot shit, because nobody likes one of them. But yeah, just the
There was no growth. There was no finding
no.
self-empowerment. There's like, I guess there kind of is at the end when she becomes the chancellor and she's like not feeling the ill effects because somebody else took the bullet for her, quite literally. But like, even then, she's still a lost puppy because, and like, I get mourning, but you knew this
Yeah.
guy for less than a year and you still, again, didn't really know him.
I was gonna say you know nothing about him.
And let's get into that now. So Carly digs up this past, and anyway, Carly digs up this past, and it's full of pictures and reports and all this stuff. And we learn about this troubled child. We learned that he was mute for a lot of years, and how he went to juvie for his violent outbursts. And like the only thing she got out of him was that he had two sisters. And like even that didn't fit into the picture that Carly found. So that
Oh,
confused me. I
yeah.
honestly was like, oh, that was a lie until the end where he's like in the memory watching his
Yeah.
sisters, but maybe those aren't his sisters because he's not playing with them. He's just watching them. So who really knows? Who
Creepy.
really knows who this guy is? But there were so many red flags displayed in front of you all at once. And how did you respond? You were like, Carly, you're wrong. You just don't see it.
Yeah. Um, that was dumb. I also feel like I don't care about his past. Like I think because, as you said, nothing of substance was presented, that it felt like, what are we even doing here? The only thing that of note that came from that was us seeing how Lennon treated her sister so shitty.
Well, that, and I think it was just left there as like the tiniest carrot because we learned he was in juvie when he was like 9 years old, and a woman shows up and like gets him out one night, and nobody has any understanding. And when she goes back looking for him, which also, why would he hide in that memory? It sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But she goes back looking for him, and
It's just a
she becomes
girl.
that woman. Like, I will give you that. Um, the time travel here worked, where she did not change the past. She was already the events had already happened and she is just facilitating them.
Yes, I guess that does work. One thing that really bugged the fuck out of me was when whoever it was explaining about the elevators or the gates being able to like go through time. It was like, yeah, we are in the present and we can go to the past, but we can't go to the future. And like, go fuck yourself. Time travel, time travel stories are a mind fuck, like
Yeah.
for sure. And I don't pretend to have a firm grasp on it, but I will not accept a story where it's like, oh no, we can go in one direction only. Because
Yeah.
I was telling Barry about that. I was like, well, then how do they get back? How do they get from the past? How do they get back?
That's
And I was
the
like, well, great
elevators.
question. It can only go to the present.
The elevator's still there. Duh.
Like, just you had me at space, space joining
You
elevators.
had me at Thailand.
You had me at Thailand.
Yeah.
You lost me at time.
Yeah.
You lost me at time.
Just to touch on two things with Benedict here, because we don't really talk about him, at least as far as I remember writing this. One, the fact that when she goes back, granted she's under an immense amount of pressure, but she immediately is like takes control of him, makes him kill himself with the paper
Letter opener.
letter opener. Thank you. Uh, that's older Lennon, who has already had the conversation with Claude, who was Benedict's assistant slash lover. Speaking of just professors fucking all their kids. Um, Claude had told her that there was a gun in the study that Benedict would have killed himself with had he chosen to kill himself, because he had talked about that. Lennon knew that. Why wouldn't that be your option? You know?
So I very much like the whole not self-fulfilling prophecy, but like clearly this had already happened. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking time. This is why time travel is dumb.
But to be fair, they did stick to the story, which is the right way to do it. So it did work. But I'm just saying,
Sure.
like, in
No,
the
but
moment,
like if she had been smart enough and she had that knowledge going into that conversation, but also she had the knowledge of like Benedict died. Like I feel like that there was this weird disconnect between her being like, okay, pick up that letter opener, do some shit, and
yeah.
her not remembering the stuff that had happened about how she and Dante found the body. Like, come on.
Yeah, to be fair, it had been maybe yesterday or maybe 4 weeks
Or
ago.
maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Who
who knows?
knows?
The other thing about Benedict that was never explained was as he's like the gate, whatever, trying to train her to open gates, whatever,
Gate trainer.
yeah, he gets into her mind as he's not supposed to do, and basically forces her to put her hand into a fire, thinking that this like fight or
It's gonna
flight
like,
will
yeah,
convince her to open a
instigate a
gate.
gate.
And
Instigate?
she does. And I think, if I remember correctly, she opens two gates, or maybe it was just one, but there was something about that gate, what Benedict saw, that like stirred him to emotion. And then we never go back to it.
I don't remember. There were some times where there were gates and then there were kids with moths, and it was like, this is a big deal, and then we never fucking touched on that again.
Fair. I want to get back to that. I had a longer talking point about Gates, about Benedict. Fuck. God, I got to write these things down. I had a shorter talking point, though, about something I wrote down, which I wrote in my notes as also. So
I love
also
that.
talking about Claude and Benedict. Also Dante having a kid with Eileen and everyone just being
Oh
cool
my
with the
God, I
fact that
forgot all about that.
she fucked him when he was like 16 or some
Because
shit.
apparently students and teachers are the only well, okay, except for Ian and her and Lennon and
Nadine.
then yeah, the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. The one who was going to be a nun and then wasn't because instead of finding
Very
God,
much
he found a
wasn't.
penis.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that just being like, I don't know. And he never talks about it. They go to Eileen's house and there's this kid that is obviously his child there. And like how we then don't really talk about it. Like that was
And
so
her husband
fucked
is
up.
there too, and it's just like, yep, this is normal.
Right, right.
Don't like that guy. Who invited him?
Oh, it
Yeah,
was
I had totally forgotten that was like a thing.
so fucking wild. The past, the gates. Nah, man, there was something about Dante that I thought was going to get us into a longer conversation, and now,
About his past?
oh, that's what it was. August. So, because I hadn't written this anywhere else, we learn why Benedict attacks her is because he had seen this similar, like losing control of your power, becoming a different person, becoming malevolent.
Yeah.
In August. And Dante and August came up through the school together. They were best friends. They lived together at one point, and Dante and Benedict take it upon themselves to kill August. And then that whole thing where like now August kind of haunts him, and we put it up to like the persuasion magic makes things manifest real as this like child comes back
Like
into
her
play.
weird reflection.
Yeah, none of that really works for me. Like the whole point of it was okay, that's why Benedict tried to kill her. Cool. But like
Amazing.
and as you pointed out earlier, she sees Benedict swimming all the time, sees him like warming up without his shirt on, but then when they walk, she's got to stop the walking so she can like really focus in on the August that is tattooed on his like in between two ribs on in between the moth scenario that's entire body. There's like the
Good
word
band
August.
name. The
Um,
moth scenario.
ridiculous. That whole and again like yes, it was kind of explained to us. Like that's the whole reason she goes to confront Benedict was to learn about August, to learn the truth about Benedict. But it didn't really matter.
No,
Like
it
it,
super didn't. Like, great, they killed somebody that was maybe evil, and they think that maybe she's evil. But like, there were so many things and like none of them came back together.
Yeah. Yeah, there was so much
It was for
unresolved
you,
stuff here.
YouTubers.
As you mentioned, there's like uh it's the blender again, where we threw so
Hmm.
many things into the blender, but this
Hmm.
time we forgot what we threw in there, so we couldn't go back to like pick out the ingredients again to finish our story here.
Or it's like that episode of Friends where Joey's trying to make a trifle, but the cookbook has been like a page has been ripped out, so he like makes something that's like part sweet, part savory because it was like a shepherd's pie recipe. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
No,
That's
I
a bit
don't
of a
know that one.
deep cut, but it's
Uh,
kind of like that, where it's like we're looking at two different things and we've made this thing that doesn't really work together.
yeah. Yeah, it was just very like again, Dante's whole character was just incredibly frustrating.
Hmm.
Their relationship was incredibly frustrating. Like none of
Hmm.
it just really worked. Yeah. So moving on. So what did you think as we got the full picture of Drayton College, meaning the classes, the expectations, the faculty, the sacrifice? What did we think of Drayton?
Um, well, way too much faculty student fucking.
Fair.
Was never really like, I mean, it's possible that I've just forgotten what college was like, but because it's been so many years. But like, I'm not fully convinced it was had either foot or both feet firmly in either like it's a real school or it's a fake school, magic school. Because like there were all these times where it was like we're doing all of these like crazy intense things like telling someone to stab their hand and we're fucking with rats all the time and like doing stuff that feels like magic and then she'll be like and I was like really crunching for this exam
Yeah.
and that just felt weird.
Yeah. Two things that just reminded me. One of those, like, again, like the ivy on every building, everyone had a drink cart in their room. Like, how many times did we bring up a fucking drink cart? It was a lot.
Bunch of booze hounds.
So many different places we had drink carts. The other thing was, fuck me. I gotta start writing stuff down.
Second time you said that.
Shit. Uh, Oh, so this just in general here, right? So just focusing on the sacrifice, when we learn about William and how he's the gatekeeper, because we have to keep a gate big enough to keep
To
this like
encompass the whole school.
a college campus, which is it. I think it had like four buildings or whatever, plus the chancellor's building, so five buildings and a quad and a chapel. So yeah,
I
a
was like,
lot
it's
here.
keen. It's keen.
That's quite a few city blocks we're working with here. He's got to keep that outside of space and time using persuasion magic. And because of that, he's in constant pain, but also the school like fuels him so he lives longer, whatever. The fact that this has been going on since I don't remember if William's the first, if he is cool, why didn't anybody come up with like a better plan? Like they talk about we see Dante get like a bunch of different letters and like requests to help, like because that's how they get
Yeah,
money for the school is they like
yeah.
fucking overthrow leadership or like
Government.
rig elections or get you to eat that new Kraft mac and cheese. So they use their persuasion out in the world, um, and that's how they bring in the funds. So you're telling me that none of you ever thought that because
No.
yeah, no, because they were all thinking, well, I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah.
Now we'll focus it on the next one. And also like the rift working or whatever the fuck, gate work is such a rare thing. Wouldn't you think you would try to find
More people like that?
or a way to do it without that? Or like
Yes.
something,
A
something?
machine?
Like where are the people trying to think of how to fix this? And that's where talking about a school outside of space and time, it really reminded me of School of Mance,
Oh,
which was the Naomi Novik book that we read. And that how they talk about how they just kind of accepted how the magical kids would be eaten by the malfactory. That's just how it always was. And we're not going to change it until insert name of main character here came along and was like, we're going to do things differently because I'm in love with this boy. So like it just made no sense to me that they could sit there and watch this guy suffer and think, oh, we just have to like trick somebody into doing this for us and also make sure they're powerful enough, but never actually figure out how to make it better.
Yeah, that's a super good point.
Thanks. I wrote it down.
Otherwise, I guess maybe the whole book doesn't exist if they'd done that. But
True.
also, like, is that really the point? I don't know. This book was.
Kind of like on base with everything else. I don't think there was a single faculty member that we liked. Like there
No.
wasn't anybody that you warmed up, like including Dante. Fuck that guy.
I did say that Gregory the Rat is probably the best character.
He did come to her even
He
without
did.
her
That's
like
what I'm
portraying
saying. Like integrity, like what a good guy.
integrity much. Yeah, and then on top of all that, like we get her when Lennon starts calling the gates. She talks about how she feels like a beating or breathing coming from the campus or whatever. So at least that
Oh
rolled
yeah.
itself back in. But as we had touched on before, I think one of those biggest unsolved things is when she calls her first gate, she goes into like the upside down, basically Stranger Things style
Nice.
of the campus, and she finds this little boy who doesn't say anything to her and is just like has a couple of these moths on him, and we just kind of breeze past that
Like, is
as
that
nobody
Dante?
brings it up. And that's why I'm like, is that Dante? Because
Yeah.
it's a boy who's not talking, who likes moths. Okay, but that's never actually talked about. And like, maybe
And
they
what does it
want us
mean if
to
it is
reach.
him?
What's that?
And what does it mean if it is him?
Well, and I
Like,
think they want us to like draw that conclusion because she talks about when she goes back to his past, like how there's
mm,
one of those moths like flying into the light or whatever of the solitary confinement cell he's in.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe we're supposed to just draw that, but then if that's Dante, like again, back to my theory, does that mean that Dante we know is actually August and they switch places, or is Dante's hidden whatever? And then when Dante kept being like, I can only call a gate back to one time in history, I was like, okay, is that his one time in history? Are we going to go back and just find him as a boy when he first came here? Maybe he was a child prodigy. I don't know. But spoilers inside of spoilers about this book that maybe is confusing you as well. No, that's not where it's going back to. So there was just so much about the full picture, kind of in quotation marks, that just didn't work here.
No, I agree. I'm sorry. My dog has just put herself in her crate and just scratching the wall of the crate, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know
Okay.
what's going on.
But
Very distracting.
do you want me to pause this?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Bryce, calm down. Come on, we're
I
doing a
can't.
podcast here. She's like, it's not Friday. You're
The
throwing my
book is so
schedule off.
confused.
What are you gonna leave me? God. She likes going to her grandparents. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she loves that.
Um, yeah, so that just again, I really tried to stay in on this book, knowing it's a podcast book, and I don't have the answers to these questions,
Yeah,
which is just more frustrating,
yeah,
honestly.
I agree.
So moving on, we kind of have our big battle. When Lennon learns what is expected of her, she makes a break of it. What did you think of our fight scene and ending with her kind of taking control?
So, like, the running away scene, and then, like, the bad guy showing up, and then the good guy showing up, like, all of that was annoying. I thought the running away was pretty lame, like the way that was done. And then just like I hate when it's like, aha, I have arrived. Aha, but those people have arrived. And it's like, I just it's too much. Um, yeah, too much at that moment is what I wrote. Um, yeah, I didn't love that bit. I guess like the calling the rats to her was pretty cool. Um, and it's great that her friends were so helpful. Does she deserve it? Perhaps not.
Probably not. No.
Um, but I guess they were kind of cool. Again, they were very surface level characters, so like I don't know that I have um I guess it was kind of unexpected. Stop
So
it.
what I and like as I was reading it, this like gave the book a full extra star on Goodreads because for me, I felt like she did the unexpected here a few times, where it at least she was using her magic system, right?
Yeah,
To like make sense of what was happening.
yeah.
And to like Lennon was using it to get out of the situation however she could. I thought like, yes, it was kind of silly using the rats, but like at least like they had been there, right? Like that was
Yeah, and it
some kind
wasn't
of
like rats that just lived on campus. It was like,
right. Yeah, it wasn't like she was just calling all the wilderness
yeah.
animals to her in this space gap, whatever scenario. So I thought it was different enough that
Mhm.
it kept me engaged.
Sure.
To be fair, the longer we spent doing that, the less time we had to deal with the relationship, which I also appreciated as the pages melted away on
Same.
that. And a frustrating thing is we see like the amount of pain that Dante is going through for her and like
Oh my
trying to
God.
like make it seem like he's helping her escape. She continues to question him when she like gets back to Lago's house and she like questions everyone there even though they're like barricading the doors and like how can we help, she's like I don't know if I trust them. It's like dude, can we just move past it and like try to fucking get out? Like you know who can't trust? Nadine, who tried to stab you in the throat. So aside from that, I think we're good. So like I thought it was I thought the ending was at least engaging where the
Sure.
rest of the book had fallen through. So is it enough to me to tell you to read 450 pages? No. But did it make those last or that whatever 30 pages in there more bearable? For sure.
I was a little frustrated by like what you were saying with the how like Dante is being like basically like destroyed physically. Um and then is he's just like I'm gonna get up and like walk around. Like their continuity again, I think
Yeah.
is like plot hole style. All of that felt very um WTF.
And this was interesting because we saw, like, as you were talking about the cost of magic, as we've seen in other things, and
Yeah.
like again, we see it with like the nosebleeds, or like for
Yeah.
Dante, for some reason, his fucking gums always bled and wouldn't stop bleeding. Such a cool visual. Thanks for that. But we see like the physical when other people are enacting
Manifestation.
their will on them, it's like breaking bones and like
Yeah.
distorting their body and shit like that. So we see that, but then like you're saying, like then it's like
And then
when
he's okay enough to like,
when they land the bus by like him still having enough power, even though he just held off all the faculty here,
yeah,
but he kept enough in reserve to make sure that she could raise the gate. He could funnel enough into her so she could raise the gate.
yeah,
Was mind-boggling for
yeah,
sure. I was like, that just doesn't. I'm sorry. And then Lennon too to go through all that and still be like, I still got enough. And like I'm going further than ever because my mind is open and sure. Yeah, like again, I probably liked the running away part more than like the opening of the gate part because
yeah.
that just felt like a Bose machine as we're like, hey, we're just gonna it's gotta happen, so
It's
it's
gonna
gotta
happen.
happen.
Yep, yep. Be damned the scene I just wrote before where literally that man was broken like twigs.
And this is where we see her the mirror apparition come back too, as she finally like because whatever. She was like afraid to look in mirrors or reflections for a long time, and she like finally sees it. And we learn from Dante that's like your inner self or something supposedly that like you don't want to lose control because maybe that like fiend will take control of you or whatever. But like when she embraces it, everything kind of goes the right
Works?
way.
Yeah,
How does that
yeah.
work?
It's like maybe the aberration's different for different people. Maybe
Uh,
she's the aberration and that thing is like the good thing. And then it's like, no,
Maybe.
that's too much. That's too deep.
And then
No.
also just a question, but similar to the owl, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? How many times can you bash somebody in the skull with like an award and yet they still walk away from it?
Well,
That
just
was,
about as many times as you can break the bones, every bone in a body, and he'll just be like, I'm good.
I've still got it. I got some power left. Don't worry. I got you. Yeah, the fact that Eileen survived was ridiculous to me.
She's
Um,
annoying.
she
God,
like
all
clubs her to death with a Grammy, but not to death.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and again, she's fine.
My
Um,
persuasion award.
nice. Um, and then to just like that final scene where she notices the golden glow and hears like an eerie ding or something like that as the building is collapsing, as Blaine is pulling her out because she can only carry one of them.
Who is like as frail as a bird.
As weak as that new baby giraffe learning how to walk.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like you left nothing here. Like maybe say like you hear that sound, but like you gave us too much there to obviously show us that Dante was alive. So that moves us into the last question. We wrap up things with Lennon appointing her friends to run Drayton and then finding Dante. What did you think of our actual ending?
So like all that effort she puts in to dealing with that situation, and she's like, nah, y'all can deal with it. Which
Yeah.
like I guess on the one hand it's like, okay, sure, you did just put in a lot of work. So like go take a breather. But like she's taking a sad sack breather. And like, yeah, she's in mourning, as you'd said, but like even her friends come over with like Thanksgiving dinner or whatever and like try to like coax her out of her shell and like I don't feel sorry for her and I feel like it's kind of a cop out to be like, okay, friends who really helped me achieve this situation, I'm not gonna, it's all on you. I'm just gonna, I'll be over here crying into my coffee and you deal with all the stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't care about her, so I don't really, I don't really feel sorry.
Yeah, it was just for me, it's just upsetting because again, if you listen to her words, like Drayton is the first place that she's felt
Yeah,
herself. And now, like, you literally have everything you ever wanted, and you still can't get over the guy that you haven't known, but known for 6 months.
that's actually a really good point. Like she was so, I think at one point caught up in the idea of maybe having her own power is not quite the right word, but
Yeah.
like agency and like being not necessarily responsible, but just like being able to make decisions and not being the housemaid. And
Yeah.
then to just like give all that up is dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
And kind of is like the final bow that didn't work for me. Again, we see how much pain and suffering William is going through to keep that gate opening. And she uses Dante's power to open it, but then is able to like they even mention like she's funneling power to it constantly, but is not in pain, is able to like go about her life, is able to call other gates eventually. Like I didn't
Get that? None of
yeah,
that makes sense. Again,
yeah.
the continuity errors.
Where's the battery coming from? Because that just made
Yeah.
no sense to me. That she could do that, and again, just I don't know, man. Just the story of this, the ending of this was bows that you didn't care about and mysteries you did were left unresolved.
100%.
And maybe cared is too strong of a word for the mysteries, but again,
But you were
if
like, you've given me a mystery. Why are we not solving it?
if the cover of the book is a moth, tell me
Yeah,
what the fucking moths stand for.
100%.
The ending I thought was just like with the final, like Dante gets in before the gate closes. So dumb.
Yep. I fully
So
like
dumb.
was expecting him to I honestly initially wasn't even expecting the whole like her calling an elevator and going to find him to happen. I was like, okay, she's just a sad sack in this house now. But then like when he got into the elevator, I was like, oh, maybe he'll get cut in half.
Didn't quite make it. Now he has a peg
No,
leg.
exactly.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit better. Like I understand him being like, I'm so tired, I've done everything.
Yeah, totally.
But also, how long has he been there? Because for her, it's been months. So has he been sitting there for months, or is
But
it just like a moment for him?
what even is time?
I don't know. And then, like, even if he didn't come, could she just go back and do it again? Like, how
Right?
set in point is that time?
Good point.
My last word in this recap was whatever. Like, I just,
Yeah.
sorry, it's another one that just didn't work.
No.
And honestly, like this is one where, and I think Olive was this way too, where it's like it's not just because it was a podcast book. Like, I feel like if I read this on my own, I wouldn't have dissected it as much, but I still would have been as upset. Like,
Yeah.
the I like I look more in detail when I'm reading for the podcast, but like even just reading this, I was just upset.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying that it necessarily would have been a DNF, but it would have been it would have taken me a lot longer. It might have become a bathroom book. Might have been
That's
relegated to a bathroom
that's a
book.
tough fate. That is a tough
It
fate.
is.
So moving into additional spoilers, one thing I wanted to touch on, Lennon sucks with her family. We have that moment where Carly flies to Savannah to meet with her, and or where maybe it's, and it doesn't matter. She flew to her, and they go to meet, and that's when she gets the dossier on Dante. And how does she repay her? She like pulls the memories out of her, which she had already done
Painfully.
once to her. She'd already fucked with their memories of Christmas because she didn't want them thinking ill of Dante or some fucking shit, who knows. But to do it again, and like Carly knows in her own way,
Yeah.
like she doesn't understand, but she knows that her sister has done something to her, and
And
all she
she
did was
knows
try to
that she
fucking help
knows.
you.
Like Lennon understands that Carly isn't like just fully letting the persuasion happen. So she knows that it's really painful for her and she still fucking does it. Yeah, she's the worst sister.
And that's the thing, like, and again, like we learn about her past and how she would like just leave for
Yeah.
nights on end when she was a teenager because she wanted them to worry about her. So she would go to parties and then stay out for days. And like, where is the redeeming quality here? And like, she has that confrontation at Christmas with Carly where Carly's like, mom respects me or something like that, but I wish she would love me the way she loves you.
Yeah.
And Lennon's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, dude, she's forgiven you 10 million fucking times. Like, how are you so
Clueless.
self-absorbed that you
Yeah.
can't fucking see this?
Yeah, she's lame.
And why? Why do you want me to connect with this character? I just don't fucking get it, man.
Yeah.
Moving on. Could you differentiate between your classmates? We've kind of answered this, but like I don't know if there's anything you wanted to touch on here with any of them, as far as weird things that stood out to you or whatever.
No, I mean they're all sort of carbon copies of each other. I mean, like there was nothing really that stand outish except that Blaine was like wasting away.
And again, we never really understood why. We didn't understand why she was the one that had to take care of William. Again, as you
Yeah.
said, she was a first year. Like,
Yeah, like why is this her responsibility?
none of it made sense. The fact that they were so loyal to her, also to Lennon, also made
Yeah,
no
made no
sense.
sense either. She like basically was an outsider.
Yeah. And like the fact that everyone, when Ian was cut in half, was like, oh, he probably deserved it. Yeah, obviously he did. He was a prick, but it's like, I don't know, the I think we spent too much time inside of Lennon's head
Mm,
where like there's a transference of what she thinks these people think of her, and also like none of it worked. And
yeah.
yeah, like you just think back when I was reading it, and it'd be like Emerson, Kiernan, Claude, Blaine, whatever. It
Who's
took a long
who?
time for me to differentiate Blaine. And then it was like, I think Emerson's this one.
Yeah.
And that I don't think is a good thing. I don't think that's what you want.
Nope. I agree.
So yeah, struggle bus all around. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, I mean I already brought up Gregory the Rat, and that was the only other thing.
Gregory, the one and only. Maybe someday when I'm listening to this, I'll think of all the things I forgot to say. But
And
yeah,
we can cover that on the next podcast in this feature that we normally don't have, which was
yeah,
things we forgot.
yeah. This segment is called "Continue to Bitch." So on that note, we're going to move out of spoilers and moving out of spoilers. We're not quite done with the book. We have to give it our grade. We do this based on the D&D D20 scale. So 1 is bad, 20 is good. Then we add or subtract a characteristic, modifier, ability, or skill from the game Dungeons and Dragons that we think best fits our story. We alternate every episode, and thankfully, Taja has to go first. So Taja, tell me what you rolled on that dice, girl.
It feels really mean, but like there weren't really a whole lot of redeeming. Even sometimes when I don't like the story or I don't like the characters, there's like something about it that I can like find that raises that role up a little bit. And I don't think that that exists here. I rolled a 5.
Wow.
Yeah. Which feels really mean, especially with what I'm gonna say next, and that is a -1 for persuasion because I wasn't convinced about like any of it. I wasn't convinced about the magic system. I wasn't convinced about the characters that I should care about them. There were so many plot holes or inconsistencies, and I don't know, like perhaps dark academia is not for me, or perhaps this is not a good representation, but it felt maybe a little too tropey, like too heavy on the tropes. That, yeah, sure, you're gonna have tropes in dark academia. I feel like it's unavoidable. But it was just like a layer upon layer of too many of them that I don't really like, not delivered very well, and just too many plot holes. I think that's what I keep coming back to. I just was not convinced, or yeah, I wasn't persuaded.
I think it's tough because the trope, like just going with the academia trope, right? Like you see it with Harry Potter, School of Ants, Fourth Wing or whatever. Like you have that ability to like, okay, our unknown is going into this whole new world and like discovering all this stuff and whatever. And yeah, you can do that. Maybe like have less professors fucking their kids. That might be step one, and that might help you with it. But I agree with a lot of what you said. I, again, like, I had this book at 2 stars for all of it. And then that ending, I really kind of was like, okay, I can appreciate that you really thought outside the box here. And honestly, I think the idea of persuasion as magic is thinking outside the box. I just think you didn't like plot holes, as you're saying, but you didn't like think it through. Where again, like, what's to say at any point you're being not being persuaded? Like, yes, she does point out that she feels the different signatures in her head as they're feeling around with it. But like, yeah, even with the first rule of Fight Club, we immediately break it. Every faculty member, it seems, breaks it. So it, and then too, we didn't even touch on this, but like Dante opens his mind to her a couple times to like help speed the process of learning. And it's weren't there like other things you could have seen in there or something? It just felt like there was so much ambiguity here. I was going to say ambiguousness, but yeah, ambiguity here that kind of left you wanting. For me, so I took more points off it as we talked about because I don't think I've said a nice thing in 2 hours. So for me, I'm going to drop it down to a 6 on the dice roll. Just kind of sticking with what I said, like the fact that I do believe she thought outside of the box on a few of these things. Now, I don't think she landed the plane, but I can at least appreciate that she was going for something different here. But similar to Olive, if you give me a character that I hate from step one and they don't show any growth and they just kind of prove the point that they're shitty, and again, like whatever, the toxic relationships that she has is one thing, but the way she treats her family could have been a redeeming quality. She could have been an actual decent fucking sister or daughter, and that would have at least brought her back some. But no, she couldn't even do that. So very frustrating. I'm giving it a +1 for performance, basically for that. The way she acted in those critical moments, and this is more for the author, just how she didn't go the obvious route, at least as far as I think, when she was dealing with that. How there were some unexpected events, I guess, in how she treated encounters, because that's something I deal with in D&D. It's really tough to think of encounters outside of combat and how to do them differently or to do combat differently. So you get a
Yeah,
point for that. I don't know. I'll probably have to adjust my Goodreads on this. Sometimes I do that after we talk where it's like, oh, you're too nice, but it's
right.
tough. It's
Well,
really
with
tough to be
Goodreads,
me.
I in my head I was giving it a 2.5. And in Goodreads, because they don't do half, I was like, I'm gonna bump it up to 3. But I feel like the number I gave it definitely is more of a 2.
Yeah, same. So for me, that's a 7. For Tasha, that's a 4. So that's a 5.5 overall for this book. I just don't. I saw it in a lot of places.
Yeah,
When you brought it up, like this cover is very catching.
breaking.
So I had seen it other places when you had brought it up. So that's the reason we moved on it as an unknown author. Was there anyone on the back that we could trust?
I don't know. I had mine on my.
No. That's why we should have the New York
Hey,
Times. Who
but
are
that
these
has
people?
that has done us dirty in the
Actually,
past.
you know what's crazy? Again, similar to the next book we're going to read, Simone St. James is the last author on here. So
Interesting.
just another random that we've come across that is a part of that. But yeah, I just wanted so much more of this. And maybe people are too nice on Goodreads too, because I think it's like a 3.5 overall there too. So
Yeah.
who knows? I feel like we are swinging, we're hit and miss on these books lately. So anyway,
Bit
yeah,
of a
for the
rough go.
last time, this was the An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. If you want to read it, do it at your own risk. And on that note, we are gonna move forward with the podcast. So we're gonna finish with our segments. We start with current selection, Taja. What else have you been getting into at this point?
I've just been listening to stories that I already know. I kind of stumbled across the first book in the Immortals Quartet by Tamara Pierce on Audible because it was free, and now I'm like, I do want to listen to these again. I've never listened to them, and it's fun because it's like a full cast audio, so there's like different voices for like all the different people. She reads the book, so that's interesting. Um, I just like consuming. I love these stories and I like consuming it in a different medium than I have before, so I'll probably keep going with that. And they're so fast. I mean, I could read one of those books in a day. I'm like pointing at my shelf. Um, those books. But yeah, so I've read Wild Magic and I'm listening to Wolf Speaker now. I don't think I have too much left of that. Um, and we'll see what happens next.
Nice. For me, just pulling it up here and making sure I didn't read anything else. No, I finished Trickster's Choice, which is also by Tamara Pierce. So this is the Tamara Pierce episode.
Yeah, it is.
I really enjoyed it, and it like I was a little bummed that I had to read this story in between because I like that it's only a duology.
Mhm.
So it's like we're gonna get right to it.
Yeah.
The characters in that were, I mean, Allie obviously stands out. I think the Nawat, the crow guy, is like a little hokey, but that's kind of her thing, where she
Mm-hmm.
like gives you those kind of like different characters, and that's like the magic of her world. So you just kind of go with it, and it's
Gotta,
fine.
yeah, roll with the punches.
Yeah, exactly. So I really enjoyed that story and the idea of like this hidden nobility, the revolution, all that trying to come back.
I
So
should
I've
reread
just
those. I
started.
haven't read those since
So
I read
it
them.
is. I mean, I'm hoping it lands the plane because that was my big problem with the Becca Cooper trilogy. Was the last book on that fucking ruined the trilogy for me. So I'm also hopeful that the duology will help with that. So I'm reading Trickster's Queen now. I'm only in like chapter 6, which to be fair, fucking long chapters, Tamara. It's like
Yeah, she
120
does
pages
do
in.
that.
She loves to keep those chapters going. She does do page breaks every once in a while, which is
That's
also fun.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's maybe a quarter of the way through it. It's hard to tell, but I am excited that I'm just like moving books off my shelf. Can't wait
Yeah,
to
good
get back to
job.
Tasha. So that's that. I don't know. It's funny because Sully challenged me to read Infinite Jest because that's just a book that people talk about. And I am one of those people. I don't know anything about it, but I heard one person say that anyone who says they've read Infinite Jest hasn't actually read it. So that's how I've always deemed that book. And right
Amazing.
after we talked about it, I found it at a Goodwill, and I was like, "Well, this seems like a
It's meant
sign."
to be.
But between that and another book that Angie just told us to get, they're like both. I think the one she told us was like 850 pages, and Infinite Jest is like 1100. So it does seem to be another year of chonk for
Yeah.
me. And I also really want to get into the Mistborn saga. So it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot going on over here.
Yeah.
Anyway, more on that later. So we'll move on to random recommendation. And this is one that Taja recommended to me. So I'm going to make her talk about it.
That's
But the
fair.
book is One for the Money by Janet Ivanovich.
So it's basically she's written a multitude of books in this sort of, I guess you could call it, series. Um it's Stephanie Plum is the main character. God, it's been so long since I've read these books, but
That's
there's
impressive you even knew that. Did you have to
thank
look that
you.
up?
Well, there are so many.
Bill.
So it's the premise is basically New Jersey, um, woman who used to like sell lingerie. Her life like falls apart. She loses her partner, fiance. I don't remember if they were married or not. Anyway, she becomes a bounty hunter. And it's like a comedy romance, I guess I'd say that genre.
Yeah.
Um, she solves crimes, or I guess it's not really solves crimes, solves mysteries, because she is actually a bounty hunter. She gets paid to do this. Not very much, so she's struggling. She has a hamster as a pet. On one hand, so like love triangle style is Ranger, who is a like security guy, like security expert. He's like super hot. And then there's Morelli, who's a cop who's also super hot. And sometimes she fucks both of not together. That would be actually awesome. Um,
How many moth tattoos do they have? Just
Zero, as far as I'm pretty sure Ranger has some tattoos. Again, it's been a minute. So like if you are a fan of romance, the romance scenes are pretty good and fun. The characters have really great chemistry. It's very funny. Her grandma is a character, a main character in it, and she gets into trouble. She's just like a typical Jersey grandma,
nice.
who goes to funeral viewings all the time and is just like a whippersnapper. Um, she has a hamster as a pet. I don't know if I said that already. I thought
You
about
did.
it.
You're doing
Okay,
great.
cool. Um, and yeah, she's just like I guess I'd call her a strong female lead because I think she is that. But she's just kind of bumbling sometimes because she's not really actually a good bounty hunter. She gets the job done,
Yeah.
and it's very funny, and there's good romance and good chemistry, and I think there's 20 plus books.
Yes. First of all, you crushed that for off the cuff.
Thank you.
Secondly, the way I see this, if you enjoy it, try the first one. And if you enjoy it, it's very much like Harlan Coben's Myron Bolitar
Yeah.
or
With more sexy times.
yes. But like or like Jim Butcher and
Yeah.
his Harry Dresden, like these
Yeah.
are ones that you can like, hey, I just need a break from
Yeah.
this. Let's go back to an old
If you
familiar.
And if you find it at like a dollar store or whatever, or like a Goodwill, you don't need to read them chronologically. You can pick up any number in the series and it's still going to be fun.
And they're all numbered.
They
It's
are
like
all numbered.
one for the
Also,
money, two for the show, three to get ready. Anyway,
yeah,
where to go.
they continue on like that for quite some time. There was a movie that was made for One for the Money. Katherine Heigl is in it. It was all right. The books are obviously way better.
Nice. So yeah, so check that out if you want, if that sounded enjoyable to you. One for the Money by Janet Ivanovich. And that is one like it's another one that Taja pointed out to me. And to be fair, like this was during the beginning of my like, I'm gonna try to read 100 books. And ever since you gave me that book, I see her
Oh, it's
literally
everywhere.
like Harlan
She's
Coben.
everywhere.
It's in every store.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it is, it's in every
She's
store.
the kind of author that you're gonna find um multitude of books at like an airport bookstore.
Yeah, similar to Harlan Coben.
Yes.
Yes. Must be a New Jersey thing, maybe.
Right? No, it's such a good, like you'd said, like a vacation read because
Yeah.
it goes fast and it's like, yeah, it's quality shit.
So speaking of vacation reads, what's on the next episode? And again, this is your reminder. We'll be back to you in 3 weeks. So the first week of May-ish. like later in that week. We'll come to you. So we'll come to you the second week of May by the time I edit it and all that stuff. So we're going to tackle a little bit of a thicker chunky boy. This is one that I found used, and it had sprayed edges, so I was like, oh golly. We've also read her other work separately, not for the podcast, which would have been a good book to cover. And it also deals with dark academia, so we're just doubling down on this goddamn topic.
We'll have something to like gauge it against.
The book is much more fun to say. The title is Calabasas by R.F. Kuang. Very beautiful.
Ooh, gorgeous.
I know, right? And the little blurb I'm going to steal from the jacket is Dante's Inferno meets Susanna Clark's Piranesi in this all-new dark academia fantasy from R.F. Kuang, in which two graduate students must put aside their rivalry and journey to hell to save their professor's soul, perhaps at the cost of their own. Catabasis, noun, ancient Greek, the story of a hero's descent to the underworld.
Cool.
So we will be bringing that to you in 3 weeks, which means this very silly, very cynical episode is over. So thank you guys for sticking in there. If you did watch on YouTube, you're welcome for all the gesturing and hand movements. Here's a wave goodbye for you. We appreciate you guys showing up however and wherever and whenever you do. And on that note, this has been the 117th episode of the ABC Pod, the Adult Book Club with Taja and Russell. Keep reading.